Rachel Reeves' budget yesterday was a budget for benefits Britain, in my opinion. If you're on benefits, then it was a relatively good budget yesterday. If you're a worker, if you run a business, if you're worrying about the future, if you want to save for your pension, you want to be prosperous, you want to keep striving, then not so much. And I think the Chancellor got completely the wrong tone there. They've obviously gone to appease their backbenchers and a bunch of stuff that just costs money. There's nothing in there for growth, nothing in there for prosperity, and so I predict more people will be leaving the country. But not a good budget in light of the first budget that Rachel completed there. Now, I'm going to cover a couple of bits of the budget, but not specifically what Rachel said, because, you know, there's a lot of that information out there. By far, the most interesting part of the budget was the stuff surrounding it to do with Kemi Badenoch mainly. So after the budget was completed, it wasn't the shadow Chancellor Mel Stride that spoke. It was actually Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Tories. She stood up and she eviscerated Rachel Reeves on many levels, and she went after her for a full 20 minutes. And so here's the best bits from Kemi having a go at Rachel post-budget.
And may I congratulate the Right Honourable Lady on delivering her second budget. I hope she enjoyed it, because it really should be her last. Yeah! Last year, she put up taxes by £40 billion, the biggest tax rate in British history. She promised that she wouldn't be back for more. She swore it was a one-off. She told everyone that from now on, it would be stability and she would pay for everything with growth. Today, she has broken every single one of those promises. If she had any decency, she would resign. That smorgasbord of misery we just heard from her can be summed up in one sentence. Labour are hiking taxes to pay for welfare. This is a budget for Benefit Street, Madam Deputy Speaker, paid for by working people. This budget increases benefits for 560,000 families by an average of £5,000. They are hiking taxes on workers, pensioners and savers to pay for handouts to keep their backbenchers quiet. Instead, she has chosen to put up tax after tax after tax, taxes on workers, taxes on savers, taxes on pensioners, taxes on investors, taxes on homes, holidays, cars, I think even milkshakes, taxes on anyone doing the right thing. She and this government have lost what little credibility they had left, and no one will ever trust her again. Just look at the circus around this budget. First the leaks, then more leaks to try to undo the damage. Calling panicky press conferences, U-turning on her U-turns, rolling the pitch one day only to plough through it the next. She had the cheek to talk about stability, Madam Deputy Speaker. She has become the first Chancellor in history to release the whole budget ahead of time. This is extraordinary. It tells you everything you need to know about her grip on the Treasury. She's making the UK a shambolic laughingstock to international investors, and if she doesn't resign for breaking her promises, she should sure as hell go for this. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, what have we got for all this chaos and disorder? There are 1 million more people claiming universal credit than there were at the time of the last budget. Government spending, up. Welfare spending, up. Universal credit claimants, up. Unemployment, up. Debt interest, up. Inflation, up. And what about the things that you want to go up? What about the things you want to go up? Growth, down. Investment, down. Business confidence, down. The credibility of the Chancellor, and not just down, through the floor. These figures are shocking. Does she really think that anyone will be confused by the sleight of her hand that she had in her speech? Her speech today was an exercise in self-delusion. All we've had is wallowing in self-pity and whining about misogyny and mansplaining. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, let me explain to the Chancellor, woman to woman. People out there aren't complaining because she's female, they're complaining because she is utterly incompetent. The ex-chief economist of the Bank of England was not mansplaining. He wasn't mansplaining when he said the uncertainty around today's budget is the single biggest reason growth has flatlined. What did the Chancellor think would happen when she went on breakfast telly to do an emergency public service announcement? I interrupt your Cheerios to bring you this frightening message about income tax. And then, unbelievably, she changed her mind 3 days later. No wonder people are in despair.
And that was followed very close behind by this bit of AI. Now, there was a lot of AI slop around the place yesterday after the budget with various people on. But this was produced by somebody, and they do quite a few of these videos apparently. But this was their representation of Kemi having a go there. And I thought it was very, very well done, you know, and it hit the right notes, I thought.
Yeah. All we've had from her is wallowing, wailing, self-pity speeches, victimhood, flailing, crying about misogyny, whining about mansplaining. But listen up, Kemi's here, and the roof's about to cave in.
So, Madam Deputy Speaker,
let me break it down clean. Woman to woman rate, I'll tell you what I mean. People ain't complaining cause you female on the scene. They complaining cause you run the country like a broken machine.
Yeah?
Real equality. Real equality means holding you to standards. Same rules, same results. Don't matter about your banners. You get judged on what you do, not the slogans you scatter. And your record's so weak, it could climb an X ladder.
Take your bright idea.
Offers for value for money, closed down quicker than a scheme for quick money. Didn't save a penny, now I bled the country dry. 1.6 mil down, go who taught you how to budget? Why? You couldn't make this up if you tried.
Madam Deputy Speaker,
I found a way to save the nation's stacks. A simple cut, a single move, a clean financial hack. We slash waste, save millions, bring competence back by sacking one person. You're the woman opposite, that's facts.
Boom.
Now, outside of Kemi Badenoch and the good day that she had yesterday, but it wasn't that difficult to have a good day yesterday in opposition, given the type of budget that Rachel Reeves delivered. But one of the strange aspects of the day was, post-budget, Reform had a mini press conference where they set out some of their thoughts on what was going on, and the two-child benefit cap. And, you know, Nigel and Zia Youssef went into a little bit of detail about why it won't work. And I think when you were listening to Rachel and Kemi and some of the comments that were going round in Parliament, at the end when Reform done their synopsis about what was going on, it seemed very clear and very structured, and you get the feeling that the economy would be in much better hands, in the hands of Reform, given their business acumen and how they approach things. And within that little press conference that they had there, I think they demonstrated aptly exactly what their credentials were in terms of what they would do, how they would do it, focusing on business, focusing on alarm clock Britain, as he keeps talking about. And there was some very, very good points in that. And, you know, they discussed everything. But the most interesting thing happened near the end. So, as with all of the Reform press conferences, what happens? Nigel often sits down and just fields questions from everybody. And in the middle of all this, in the middle of the budget, in the middle of all of the racism claims this week, you've got his ex-classmates, and you've got other people having a go, and you know the Reform black shirts thing that was all over social media. I mean, this is in the news, and Reform are, you know, top of the shop for being attacked at the moment. And right in the middle of this press conference, Nigel Farage just decides to name drop Enoch Powell.
What they do say very clearly is they had different political views to me. That, you know, that I thought Enoch Powell was right about the common market, which I did in the referendum, which was a minority position, but I held it all the way back then. And I thought he was right to talk about, you know, not having vast community change. And by the way, you know, that was a source of big political debate back in the late 1970s. So I think what you're hearing there, yes, some with direct political involvement, others with different political views.
Now, this was all over social media yesterday because obviously you're not allowed to name drop Enoch Powell, aka Rivers of Blood speech, but there's a lot of people on the right of politics who agree with Enoch Powell, who didn't think that Enoch Powell was necessarily a racist character, but that he wanted less demographic change within the country. And lots of people feel like that, and it's a fair enough position to hold. But of course, in the current climate, Nigel Farage, in the middle of all of this going on, the budget and, you know, the black shirts and his school buddies, he just decided to drop Enoch Powell and how he thought he was right. And you got the feeling that Nigel was playing the game a little bit here. And you get the feeling that, you know, although it was Rachel's big day with the budget, Nigel didn't want Labour to have all the headlines, and so he wanted the media jumping on his back talking about Enoch Powell. Who knows whether they'll take the bait today? But that's what he done. And it was probably a smart political move to do that, but he does take chances, Nigel, but that's why we like him as well, because he just comes out with this random stuff. It's very Trump-esque in some respects when Nigel goes on like this, but he's obviously had a lot of time to learn from Trump and how he was attacked in America endlessly for year upon year with lawfare and, you know, you're a racist, misogynist, and all of these things were almost continual with Trump. And I think Farage has picked up a trick or two along the way. But, you know, here's that little clip just to finish out on and why Nigel would just, you know, evoke the demon lord Enoch Powell. Who knows? But he obviously calculated that this was the right move to go with. And, you know, thanks very much for your time.
What they do say very clearly is they had different political views to me. That, you know, that I thought Enoch Powell was right about the common market, which I did in the referendum, which was a minority position, but I held it all the way back then. And I thought he was right to talk about, you know, not having vast community change. And by the way, you know, that was a source of big political debate back in the late 1970s. So I think what you're hearing there, yes, some with direct political involvement, others with different political views.